Yeah, it's interesting because I have recently gone through a couple of experiences with people where intuition has been a huge part of it. I often use the word discernment rather than intuition. I would love to hear your pattern of processing in the two words, or are they conflicting? Do you feel like there's a lot of symmetry?
Yeah, I mean, I think the definition of intuition, there's intuition, there's discernment, there's instinct, there's self-awareness. So I think there's a lot of sort of jargon around what intuition really is. And so the angle that I kind of came from was really kind of match what I call the art and science of intuition. So there's the art of it, and the best way to describe it is it's like driving a car. And so when you drive a car, from my perspective, you just get in the car, you push a button or turn the thing, and you hear the engine roar, and that's something called your intuitive signals. And each one of these signals are very unique to each one of us. And I've interviewed now over 1,300 people to get a wide variety of signals. And the uniqueness, I'll give you a couple of examples. One, and there's two types, there's positive signals and negative signals. So the positive signals are the ones telling you, yes, this is the right decision. And one CEO has now run two multi-million-dollar companies based on an omen that pops up on his right shoulder. No shape, no color, but he's making a business decision. This omen pops up and he says yes to whatever he's doing. On the other side is the negative intuitive signals. And so these signals are ones that are saying, whoa, you better take a step back. And we'll get into, what informs these signals. But one entrepreneur actually, when I was interviewing him, he said, I mean, nobody's really asked him about these signals. And yet every time he talks about the failures that he went through in entrepreneurship, he kept grabbing his left earlobe. And so his left earlobe pulsated with heat every time he was about to make a bad decision. So that's the uniqueness. So what, and this is kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but that's how complex intuition is. And then there's the four types, which we can also get into, which I'd love to educate listeners on. So when we do talk about, self-awareness, intuition, discernment, I believe we're all talking about the same thing. I'm just making a lot more formal to say this is how it functions. This is how you can use it. And it's very unique to each one of us. So pay attention to those signals, even if you don't even want to know about the four types. Pay attention to those signals because those signals are based on past learning experience that are telling you what the right decision is to make or not. And if you don't make the right decision, then I love failure because what it's telling you is that you missed a signal.
Mm-hmm.
So pick up on that signal, put it in your inventory. So the next time that signal comes up, you won't make that, well, you shouldn't make that decision again.
Now it's interesting because I can think through my own personal engine, right? As you're even processing that, I don't get the red earlobe or anything like that, the heat, but I'm thinking through like that gut feeling that you'll get,
Yep.
and it's that I shouldn't do this. And how often do you feel like, based on experience of whether you want to say success is the word or positive outcome or return on investment, when the person chooses the alternative, right, that they go towards the thing even though their instincts are telling them not to, does the outcome shift towards positive, or it's usually right? Have you done any research on that?
Yeah, so the outcomes have always been right, and
Yeah.
when people are always talking about the wrong decision they made, they've generally known what the right decision was, so they were able to predict in that
Yeah.
situation what the right decision was. So they already know that they made the other decision, and so they they made the choice not to take the right decision. But the thing with intuition is that it's always on, whether you're failing or not. It's always giving you that beacon of light, or a signal, if you will. And so even if you make the wrong decisions, even if you're in the worst possible shape ever in your life, and I've had people who have gone to jail for 22 years of murder, who've been kidnapped for over a week, and they're have been homeless,
Mm.
were at the verge of taking their own life. They recognize that their intuition was always there, and so it's always shining a light, so you can always get back to success. It's just that you have to start trusting it. And what happens is most of us don't realize what our intuitive signals are. And just to your point as well, like you talk about the gut feeling and the voice. So what happens is, because those two signals are the ones that people talk about the most, what I caution folks is in doing their homework and figuring out what the intuitive signals are. Because let's say you and I are doing this homework on figuring out an inventory of signals, and yours is a gut feeling, that's signal number one. But for me, if I'm lazy and I think, yes, my gut feeling is signal number one, but it's actually number three. when I make a decision and that gut feeling comes up, if it's signal number 3, I've missed signal number 1 and 2.
Mm.
And that